Kasama po natin
It's
si
Stoner.
Tito Ronald Llamas. Sir, what do you make of this more recent live fire, long-range live fire exercises ng China? Is it any more provocative than the previous ones, or is it the same thing altogether?
Ano siya parang signal, yung mga activities niya kasi parang signaling tool yan eh. When you say signaling tool, the way they convey message is through those exercises o yung pag-shoot ng mga missiles doon. So, may mga mga events yan that precipitated yung messaging na yun. Number one, I think, would be yung pagdalaw nung Secretary of Defense ng US sa region. Then of course, may mga internal dynamics sila between Taiwan and Beijing. I think merong pinadeport ng mga influencers sa Taiwan recently. So that is a consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Then of course, yung recent pronouncement ng Secretary of Defense nung dumalaw dito sa Manila might also have an impact.
Yeah.
At yung pronouncement niya doon sa Japan nung pagdalaw niya ron.
So paramdam, sir. You think it's more paramdam than anything?
Oh, yes. Ano yun eh. They are responding, kumbaga, nagpaparandam sila sa atin na yun yung feelings nila doon sa mga events na nag-precipitate ng activities nyo.
Pero Admiral, yung isang bago kasi ay medyo dramatic at compelling yung statement ni Armed Forces Chief of Staff Browner, no, na parang maghanda tayo, no, dahil parang mas matindi yung threat ngayon kesa in the past. Saan nanggagaling yung ganong klaseng statement ni General Browner, Admiral?
Well, dalawang anggulo yun, no? Yung una anggulo doon is medyo, kung ako sa lugar niya, hindi ko yun sasabihin sa harap ng media.
Okay.
That's a mouthful.
Teka sir, bakit sir? Why do you say that?
Pangalawa, ordinary lang naman sa military organization mag-conduct ng contingency planning. So, meron kang sinusulat yung plano na yan even before nangyari yung event or possibilities na minsan medyo unlikely na ginagawan pa rin. Kasi pag may incidenting similar doon, binubunot na lang yung folder niyan yung contingency plan na malapit-lapit doon sa nangyaring situation. Now, pangatlo, in this case, ang tinutumbok niya is what we call a non-combatant evacuation operation. On the possibility na meron nga mangyari sa Taiwan, so magiging primary interest natin ng Pilipinas is paano natin ma-evacuate yung ating mga migrant workers from Taiwan to Philippines. So, yung sinabi niyang tulukbian mabuli, actually, kung ako yung nasa lugar nila, ang titingnan ko na egress point doon o yung exit point would be the Port of Kaohsiung. Then yung ingress would be maybe Port of Irene or
Ilocos.
Yung Port of Papari. Port of Papari. So kailangan mo mag-establish na mobility corridor o evacuation corridor between those two ports. Ang complication lang dyan, if we do a full-blown scenario sa Taiwan, yung Port of Kaohsiung would be from, if I were Beijing, Port of Kaohsiung will be one of my principal objects.
Yeah.
So yun yung, kumbaga, complication doon.
Pero Admiral, sa tingin nyo, nag-escalate ba yung tension doon sa area? Kasi napapansin naman natin tuwing may bumibisita nga na high-ranking official, lalo ngayon bagong administrasyon sa US, at alam naman natin na China hawk tong si Hegseth. Sa tingin nyo, hindi ba, meron bang, you're assessing all the situation o dahil lang doon sa pagbisita?
Well, yung sa pagbisita, pero ito po yung ito yung danger kasi nakita natin Yung road to war o road to conflict kasi meron niyang pattern bago magkaroon ng conflict. So ang complication dito sa ginagawa ng Beijing ngayon is nino-normalize nila na mayroong mga barko at may mga eroplanong lumilipad around Taiwan. So kung ikaw yung mag-a-assess na situation, mahirapan kayo distinguish kung ito ba ay exercise or ito ba ay prelude to an invasion. Kasi nga, ninormalize nila yung situation na merong nagbablockade o nagpapaikot dun sa sa Taiwan. So yun yung problema doon.
Yeah.
So titingin na lang tayo ng ibang indicators na posible para magsabi na imminent yung threat ng invasion. Pero as of now, I think hindi pa naman
Pero di ba, Admiral, it has less to do with the visit of Secretary Hegseth na sinasabi nila ay yun yung main reason. Dahil kumpara sa Biden administration, mas hawkish yung Biden administration kesa sa Trump administration. Dahil si Biden lang naman yung for the first time umalis dun sa strategic ambiguity ng US foreign policy vis-a-vis Taiwan. For the first time, a US president said na ipaglalaban nila ang Taiwan militarily. First time nangyari yan. Na hindi naman mukhang hindi gagawin, o at least hindi sinasabi, ni President Trump. Hindi ba mas aggression na yan, yung scaling up ng military exercises ng China, mas yan ay tinitignan nila kung si Trump at yung kanyang pinaka-powerful na cabinet secretary, si Elon Musk, who is clearly pro-China, ay gagalaw talaga kung merong ganyang klaseng moves. Dahil from the vantage point of China, this could be the best time para at least i-threaten ang Taiwan. Dahil ang tingin nila kay Trump ay hindi hawk kumpara kay Biden. At ikalawa, ang tingin nila, ang China, malapit na yung limit na ibinigay sa kanya ng People's Liberation Army to take over Taiwan before 2027. Hindi ba mas ganon rather than provocation ng visit ni Hegseth?
Sige, Tekral, medyo maraming moving part ng question mo, no? So, iunahin ko muna yung Biden versus Trump na narrative. Okay, si Biden, sabihin na natin medyo hawkish. Pero ang problema, wala siyang wherewithal para i-execute yung kanyang optic. Bakit ko sinabi yun? The principal problem ng US ngayon is yung US Navy niya nag-decline over the years. Okay? Kaya nga kung nakita nyo, no, magkaroon ng problema sa Middle East, dilipat niya lahat yung carrier battle group niya roon sa Middle East, from the Indo-Pacific. So, ang point ko rito, kinakapos yung US Navy in terms of assets. So, even if si Biden sabihin niya yung medyo hawkish siya nung time niya, alam mo ng Beijing na bitin yung instrument of policy niya para execute yung hawkish policy niya. Now, dito kay Trump naman, nakikita natin, although medyo matagal pa, na-recognize ni Trump yung problema niya, which is kulang yung barko niya. So, kung makikita nyo, yung policy pronouncement ni Trump, ang utos niya sa Secretary of the Navy niya, improve your shipbuilding. Now, over and above that, nag-create siya ng shipbuilding office sa White House mismo. So, na-recognize niya yung problema na yun. So, ang point ko, ina-address ni Trump yung capability gaps nila ngayon. Another point is, si Trump kasi ang tendency niya, ang approach niya to statecraft more of naka-lean towards economic . And kung makikita mo, yung approach niya is through tariff yung tariff one. Tapos, kung titingnan nyo, meron din nilabas yung US, I forgot which agency, kung yung mga members ng Chinese Communist Party na merong pera na nakalabas ng China nandun sa mga bangko sa West. So, ibig sabihin, nakikinita nila na mas kabisado ni Trump yung pressure points nila at ginagamit ni Trump yung pressure point na yon to actually exert pressure sa kanya, sa partido.
Admiral, let me come back to something you said earlier, no? In as far as yung scenarios in case a blockade of Taiwan does occur, of course, the priority for the Philippines is to extract the 250,000 workers, Filipino workers there. Ngayon, you said yung egress most likely sa Kaohsiung, yung ingress sa Apari. But what if nabasa na nga ng China to? and they've prepared for it. Do you think we're prepared for a plan B? And you're correct in pointing out, by the way, that the AFP has been preparing for this since last year pa, and I know this because they had a briefing with international media na nakasama ako, and at that time si General Bronner already said that, you know, we have made plans. Like you said, nasa folder na nga, kukunin na lang when D-Day happens. But do we have enough plans for alternative scenarios, do you think?
Yung approach kasi natin dito, Tina, is not to actually engage in a conflict, but how do you disrupt yung strategy ng China or ng Beijing? So, kasi dito, ang most likely scenario dito is iba-blockade niya yung Taiwan sa south and as well in other parts of Taiwan, no? So iba-blockade niya yung tinatawag, yung gusto sana nating evacuation corridor, mobility corridor, iba-blockade niya yon. Doon sa Basi Channel pa lang. So hindi natin magagamit yun. In any conflict sa part ng Taiwan na affected yung Philippines, ang first objective dyan is i-control ng Basi Channel. So bubuhusan niya ng barko yan para makontrol yan. Kaya kung makikita nyo, bakit yun ang rationale ng Typhoon missile system saka yung bagong system na ini-introduce ng US for the exercise, yung Nemesis system yata yun. Kasi puro puro anti-ship missile system yun eh. Okay? So the only way para to avoid conflict or to deter China is to provide a capability para ma-disrupt yung strategy niya. In which case, kung ang konsepto niya ng invasion ng Taiwan would be blockade yung southern part of Taiwan. Ang solution doon is yung asymmetric capability that will prevent them from matting up barko doon sa southern Taiwan. So yun yung Typhoon, yun din yung Nemesis, at yun din actually kung dahilan natin kung bakit bumili tayo ng BrahMos sa India. Precisely for that scenario.
Ang problema...
Prepared ba tayo, Admiral? Kasi sabi ng Malacanang kanina, nag-react doon sa mga sinabi ni Bronner. Sabi ng Malacanang, prepared naman ang Pilipinas, prepared na ang military. They were downplaying the statement of General Bronner.
Well, gaya siya, I would not have made that statement in public. Yeah. Precisely why we're here this afternoon, pinag-uusapan niya because of that statement.
Yeah.
So,
Pero, Admiral, we have 1 or 2 Typhoon missile systems. Andaling wasakin yan with the number of ballistic missiles ng China. Lalo na, wala namang missile cover yung ating Typhoon missile system. Unlike halimbawa sa Israel. They have missiles and they have missiles covering the missiles.
They have anti-missile missiles.
Tayo wala tayong wala tayong Iron Dome.
Shield sila.
So isang 1 or 2 ballistic missiles kayang iwasaki na yung Typhoon missile system na yan. Hindi pa siya ganun ka-integrated like in other more advanced places. Kaya may silbi ba yung Typhoon missile na yan for now in a real shooting war? Or is it for now parang a minor investment pa lang?
Minor investment tapos messaging din, optics din yan. Tama ka ron, Secretary. Actually, tama ka doon, kulang yung kasi system dapat yung approach dyan eh. So, if you recall, when we acquired the BrahMos anti-ship missile system sa India, merong component yun na air defense system na hindi pa nabili kasi kinulang yung pondo eh. Pero yung BrahMos na yun is supposed to be protected by an air defense system para hindi siya para protection niya. At the same time, since land-based siya, part ng protection niya is that battery is supposed to be moving around every 24 hours. Hindi yan naglalagay sa isang lugar eh. So
doesn't that
defensive mechanism siya.
So doesn't that investment become so vulnerable now? I mean, we bought a nice shiny missile from India, and turns out that we don't have an umbrella in case it rains. Well, so to speak.
Well, may typhoon din.
Yun yung problema kasi, kasi when we proposed the acquisition, it was a system.
Yeah.
But when it was
Nakulangan.
yung umaanang taga and everything, hindi system yung pagkakabili, piecemeal.
Yeah. Because of funding.
As usual.
Tingi-tingi. Parang may bili na Yossi.
Parang gawa ng mga bridge natin, ano?
Teka lang, Admiral, the other news story that came out today that we're carrying is yun nga, the U.S. has approved the potential sale, the sale of
Yeah.
$5.6 billion of
20 F-16.
20 F-16 fighter jets. Actually, itong question is both for Admiral and for you. 20 F-16 fighter jets to the Philippines to secure as a deterrent against China nga. Makakatulong ba ito?
Diba, Admiral, ang F-16 are Cold War fighter jets that was created more than 40 years ago. So ngayon, marami ng mga advanced fighter jets. How can they defend us
How
from
can it serve as a deterrent?
Yeah, from a
to
superpower
China?
like
Yeah.
China,
Yeah.
na ang kanilang mga fighter jets are
Ano
top
na
of
ba?
the line.
F-20?
Top of the line, no?
Ano na yung top of pinakayas
Landing
end?
na sila sa dark side of the moon eh. Kaya,
F-22.
China, may J-20.
Yeah. Hanggang ano na tayo. Anyways, Admiral, please go ahead.
Kung air-to-air, ang advantage lang natin o ang tulog lang natin doon kasi hindi pa nila na-perfect yung carrier operations nila eh. So even if meron silang aircraft in play, hindi pa nila na-perfect yung system na carrier-based operation. So matagal pa yon.
Yes, sir.
Ang another possibility is i-base nila yon doon sa any of the three facilities nila, 2B, Fiery Cross, or
Yung
Biscayne.
artificial islands.
So yun, pwede rin kasi yung, if I recall correctly, yung J-11 aircraft nila, kaya na yun eh, yung range ng Pilipinas, papasok na yun. But of course, hindi natin alam yung state nung runway. Kasi may mga speculation tayo na yun eh, since exposed to the elements yun, hindi siya actually flyable or useful for flight
Mm.
operations yung na yun. But that's speculation on my part, no?
Yes, sir.
Pangatlo, hindi pa nila na-perfect yung air refueling capability. So, kung galing man yan sa Hainan o mainland, limited yung range nun. Hindi yun naabot sa atin sa Pilipinas. Or kung umabot man, there is not enough loiter time dun sa airspace natin para siya may effect siya. So kung yung F-16, granted na medyo Cold War, vintage, pwede na muna for the meantime as transition. Ang problema lang dito yung saan ba gagamitin yung aircraft? My conversation with the mga active sa Air Force, ang tinatangkot kanila can you downplay yung air superiority requirements nyo but focus on anti-ship missile, anti-shipping operation? Kasi ang existential threat sa atin actually is yung PLA Navy kasi yun ang pwedeng dumikit sa coastline natin So, enough system in play na kumbaga magdadalawang isip silang dumikit sa coastline natin, okay na yon for the meantime. Kasi hindi naman natin unless makadikit sila sa atin, I don't see any critical effect sa sa archipelago sa buong Pilipinas
Yes, sir. Pero sir, yun nga the BrahMos was supposed to be area defense, what do you call that? The area
medium air.
Area denial to keep the ships away among other things and as well parang island denial so maybe to target for example if possible yung artificial island airstrips pero we don't have that much of we don't have that many BrahMos missiles. I think we have only one battery.
Walang air cover.
Oo, tapos ito namang if we get the F-16, sir, do we have the resources to keep them flying? Kasi malakas sila sa spare parts. Di ba? I mean, we're having problems already with the FA-50. funding the maintenance.
Especially with that
spare parts.
incident, yung crash.
I can imagine
few
mas
weeks ago.
mas maggastos tong F-16.
Mas high-tech yan.
That is correct. Actually, I think kaya medyo nag-vacillate yung Air Force at yung Department of Defense on the F-16. If you recall, yung conversation about the F-16, mga last year pa yan eh. Tapos
Yes, sir.
parang hindi na nag-gain traction. And I believe, yun nga yung sinabi mo yung yung cost nun eh. Parang bumili ng printer.
Parang pabili ng cartridge.
Walang toner.
Ink lang.
Kulang ng cartridge.
Admiral, going back to sa pinag-uusapan natin ng simula, ay medyo naiiba itong statement ng China. Maliban sa binanggit nila uli yung possible declaration of independence ng Taiwan. No? Ang nagsalita ngayon ay yung spokesperson ng People's Liberation Army. Hindi ito yung Foreign Ministry ng China. Ito yung People's Liberation Army na spokesperson, si Xi, S-H-Y. So, medyo parang naiiba. Ikalawa, ito rin yung panahon na nagsimula nang dumating yung HIMARS missile ng Taiwan, no? So hindi ba 'yun ang major provocation rather than yung visit ni Hegseth? At ikalawa, kabibili lang ng Taiwan ng 60 F-16 fighter jets. No, kakatapos lang nilang bayaran. Ang kaibahan siguro doon sa kanilang 60 ay merong spare parts. Kaya nila
Tsaka 60.
Saka may pambayad, may pambayad sila.
16, no?
6-0, hindi 16.
So yun yung medyo distinct dito sa bagong tension na ito, Admiral. No, PLA ang may sharpest statement at kasabay nito yung pagdating ng HIMARS missile system sa Taiwan. Hindi ito yung paisa-isa na battery, no? Isang buong missile system ito.
Kompleto.
Dumating, kompleto.
I would agree with you, Sec. Ronald, na maaaring yun ang driver nung reaction time. Now, yung as far as yung PLA spokesman na yung naka-front and center, it can also be an internal audience thing. Baka it's directed to yung partido more than yung international audience. Yung pagharap ng spokesman ng PLA doon.
Yun ba yung when they called Taiwan a parasite? Siya ba yun? Yung spokesperson ng PLA?
I'm not sure. Pero ayun nga, usually foreign ministry
Pero nag-intensify na talaga kasi Taiwan ng defenses kasi sinabihan na rin sila ng US eh.
They have to...
Kahit naman noon pa, alam naman nila na sila dapat ang mag-fortify ng sarili nilang defense. They are aware of it. Even the previous administration ng Taiwan, alam nila yon. So actually, they've been upgrading their missile system. Lahat-lahat na. It's an ongoing thing. Kahit bago pa nagsalita si Trump na dapat yung mga allies namin should contribute more.
And increase
Bago pa yung nagsalita si Trump.
Oo, increase their defense spending. Diba?
Admiral, maliban doon sa pinag-usapan natin kanina na major battleground yung Basi Strait dahil nandito yung industrial center ng Taiwan, lalo na yung kung papasok yung mga supplies, dyan papasok sa southern Taiwan, yung mga ports dyan. Dyan din maraming mga Pilipino. Dyan din yung entry point galing sa Pacific na nandun yung mga major naval fleet ng US. Pero ang tanong ko, Admiral, paano natin gagawin yung evacuation ng mga Pilipino? Dahil ang Taiwan kasi, meron silang sapat na bunkers for their own population. Not for the 250,000 Filipinos na nandun. So, anong gagawin doon sa ating mga Pilipino? Dahil they created enough bunkers para yung buong population ng Taiwan ay pwedeng i-secure doon. Pero hindi tayo kasama sa bilang doon sa mga bunkers na yun. So, kinakailangan talaga natin silang i-extract. Ang problema, kahit yung buong Navy natin at saka Coast Guard gamitin natin sa ganyang klaseng extraction, mahihirapan tayo Lalo na dahil yung battleground will be the Basi Strait. So anong contingency measures natin para matulungan yung ating libo-libo na mga migrants na nasa Taiwan? Ang alam ko dati meron laging naka-stay dyan na isang barko just in case of emergency
Pinoy yan? Pinoy?
Pinoy, oo. Yan ang sabi dati ng MECO. Meron
Talaga?
silang, oo. Hindi ko alam kung nandun pa yon. Meron din silang system na merong pagkain for 3 days dun sa ating mga OFW. Hindi ko alam kung in place yan ngayon. No? Lalo na with the heightening of tensions.
Nakakatakot no. Salbabida.
Alam mo, I actually visited Meco in December. Nakausap ko si former PCO Secretary Cheloy Garafil, who now heads up Meco. And it's, tama ka, she said, we have contingency plans in place. We know what we're gonna do pagka nag-invade pag nag-blockade or nag-invade itong China. But she wouldn't give us details. So it's not clear if nandun pa yung barko.
At saka yung
3-day,
yung
3-day,
budget, yung budget para pagkain.
Oo nga, yung budget.
Hindi ko ma-imagine pa yung 3 days.
Paano mo mapakain ng 250,000 Pilipinos in 3 days, ha?
Baka si...
Hindi yan magbibigay ng detalye.
Ilang laki
Yun
yun,
naman.
no? Yun ang
Baka pigilin ng China yan.
Oo, correct.
Nagbigay kayo ng detalye, pipigilin niya ng China.
So technically, it's top secret, tama si Ami.
Pero yung pagkain, hindi naman kailangan top secret. Papakainin mo na ng 3 days.
Ay, maraming pagkain dyan sa...
But Admiral...
Maraming pagkain dyan sa Taiwan.
Admiral, tanong ko lang, do you expect na, let's say, you said war is not imminent, pero in case of this Taiwan blockade happening, do you anticipate na activate, kailangan din activate yung EDCA sites natin, especially the 4 additional ones that were committed last year. Dalawa in Cagayan, 1 in Isabela, and 1 in Palawan.
Yes, dapat doon pa yan. Although, hindi natin alam kung bakit na-delay siya. I think yung EDCA side sa North at least i-priority muna. Kasi kung tayo lang gagastos yan, medyo challenge yun eh. So, pwedeng i-prioritize muna yung EDCA side in Cagayan and in the other parts ng Northern Philippines.
Okay.
Maraming salamat.
We're being told that that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining StoryCon today, retired Rear Admiral Romel Jude Ong.
Salamat, Admiral.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Admiral.